Welcome to At the Heart of It, where we talk about life, celebrate creativity, and champion entrepreneurship, and get to the heart of the why behind what we do. I am Bryton Udy, and today I'm joined by two gentlemen that I love to chat with. And to me, they are the epitome of grassroots entrepreneurs. I'm really excited to chat with the founders and the owners of Local Laundry, Connar and Dustin. Thanks so much for joining me, guys.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you guys are like obviously business partners. You spend a lot of time together. So I'm assuming there's many times where you're finishing each other's sentences and sandwiches. um, so I'm excited to chat with you guys today. So I guess while we get started, why don't Connar, why don't you share the story behind Local Laundry, how you started, and give us a bit of a quick overview of the origin story.
Yeah, you got it. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having us on the show. It's not too often that Dustin and I both get to go on, so it's so it is exciting. Local Laundry was started back in 2015. So Local Laundry is Canadian-made garments for social good. And Local Laundry was started after I lost a pretty horrendous battle with my laundry machine. I was living in Sweden at the time. I was studying, do my master's there. We had this nightmare of a laundry machine, and it bounced all over the floor every time we did a little laundry. And after losing a particular nasty fight with it, I just kind of dawned on me, why can't all of our laundry be local? Everyone loves supporting local beer, local food. Why can't we look in our closet and see the majority of our clothing being local? So I just did what any person does, and I Google searched how to make a t-shirt company. And I watched a YouTube video, and I became so infatuated. I mean, I was by no means Mr. Fashionista. I didn't know the first thing about clothing, e-commerce, or anything. But I was really drawn to clothing, about how clothing can really represent one's values, right? Both on a conscious and subconscious level. What we decide to wear, what we choose to wear is representation of ourselves, and it's communicating directly with the outside world, again, either on a conscious or subconscious level, what values are important to us, what is important to us, whether it's our favorite band, whether it's our favorite sports teams, or how we dress and what style of clothes, whether we want to be more comfortable or want to be more professional and take it seriously, so we wear a suit. Clothing really kind of defines who we want to be perceived as individuals and people. And so I was just kind of drawn to that notion. So not knowing first thing about fashion e-commerce, I just kind of dove in head first, made a lot of mistakes. A lot of terrible design ideas, terrible fashion ideas. And I was able to get a little bit off the ground. And that was until I came home from Sweden and met Dustin, who really kind of poured fuel on this fire and was kind of able to help take it to the next level.
There you go. That's awesome. Well, Dustin, you and I met in university at Mount Royal. And one thing that I truly remember from our time in university together was the class Science of Persuasion. And we had to each of us stand up and do a little presentation and persuade the class to do something. We could pick whatever it was. And you chose entrepreneurship, and you persuaded the class and went through your whole speech and persuaded the class why entrepreneurship was the right path for for everyone. Maybe not everyone, but you really gave a very compelling talk, and I think it's really interesting how you're living that today, right now. And I know that you just kind of left a 9-to-5 job and kind of took the full dive into Local Laundry full time. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible, and I look back at university, I think quite an interesting full circle. I'll go way back. I was one of the worst high school students there was. Bad grades, skipped class. Remember a time where I slept in my van in the parking lot, skipping language arts. And that class exactly, there was a friend of mine in the class. She was a high achiever, pretty incredible. And I remember coming to school one day, and there was an assignment due. And naturally, I didn't do it, forgot it was even due. And she showed up with a copy for me because she knew that I would not do it. That girl's name is Erin Lawrence, and as of Monday, we hired her on full time with the company.
That's a story.
So a fun little first circle, but
what a nice person.
She's incredible. I'm super happy to have her on board. But fast forward a few years to university, and I got into the entrepreneurship program at Mount Royal University, and I can't sing its praises enough. I mean, that certainly helped set me on a different trajectory, but really ignited a passion for business, for entrepreneurship, for innovation. And the thing that I will always remember, and that always drives me, even to this day, is Ray DePaul and the Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And their slogan has always been, think bigger. So whatever it is that they're building, whatever it is that they're doing, if you graduate from the Mount Royal Entrepreneurship Program, you will always be encouraged to think bigger. And that's always stuck with us, right? I mean, we launched Calgary's clothing brand, right? We were YYC, and we could have very easily just stayed at that. We could have just been a YYC brand, printed the YYC logo on a bunch of random garments that we found and sourced from whatever. But I think, the one thing that Connar and I have had a lot of fun with and have always challenged ourselves with is always trying to grow, to think bigger, and to try and take this as far as we can. And there's a number of reasons for that, but obviously, that comes with its own challenges. But thinking back to that class, I don't know what it was, but it just ignited this fire and this passion for entrepreneurship. And you can kind of follow that along, right? Even if you're working within an organization, I think they dub it entrepreneurship, but you're always going to find ways to be creative and to be to be able to be involved in being more entrepreneurial. And that's something that certainly followed me since graduation. Shortly after graduation, found Connar, randomly met for a coffee, and loved what he was doing, joined on board. And then I proceeded to work for both the university and then also ATB Financial. It's kind of interesting looking back at the career path, but for me, entrepreneurship was the MBA that I never paid for. ATB was the MBA that I never paid for, because I went into a small business financing position and I got to not only read, but analyze hundreds of business plans, hundreds of financial projections, and actually meet with and talk to the founders who were out there starting companies, growing companies, raising debt, raising capital, and really learn from them rather than inside a classroom. And so for me, I kind of view that as my sort of mini practical MBA. And I think that has had a really positive impact on the company and how we've grown.
Yeah. So, I mean, you speak to what it was like to have a business partner and the decision to bring in Dustin as a partner there, Connar. What was that like, being able to work with someone that closely and have a partner to help you bring this idea to fruition?
Yeah. I mean, Dustin kind of came around at the perfect time. I mean, I had gotten a little bit off the ground, had this crazy idea, YouTubed it, but then I moved back from Sweden and moved back from doing my master's and got a real job. And that was starting to go pretty well. And the local owners is kind of ticking along, but, running a business on the side and working full time, and then at the time making plans to get married and that kind of thing, like I was getting pulled in a lot of directions, so it's tough to kind of do this all kind of by yourself. And then after meeting Dustin, it was just like, here was someone I could trust. Here was someone that kind of had the same vision for what this thing could be, and would work as hard as I was willing to work on this thing, and it was amazing, right from the very get-go. And Dustin and I did not know each other. We weren't friends. We kind of knew a bunch of similar people in common. But, we just kind of dove in head first. And I could say I'm thankful every day that Dustin, came into my life. And we've grown pretty close ever since. But, just kind of looking at other businesses, and sometimes businesses fail. One of the number one reasons is a poor relationship between the business owners, right? And so Dustin and I were very adamant on our business relationship. We work on our relationship just as much as we work on a relationship with our wives. Because owning a business with somebody is like being married to someone. There's no difference. So. Yeah, it's been great, and we're gonna ride or die till this thing goes exactly where we want it to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. One thing that I think is really interesting, and this is part of at the heart of it, the podcast, is
focusing on community and getting to the why. And I think what's fascinating about this project and Local Laundry as a whole is it has been so focused on community. Can you speak to the importance of being able to collaborate with different brands and people and nonprofits and businesses, and how community has really been built around Local Laundry?
Dustin, you want to take this one home?
Yeah. So, initially the whole concept was around, Calgary communities, right? Allowing people to kind of proudly represent where they're from, celebrate local. And from there, we kind of grew, right? We tried to replicate that YYC brand in different cities. Like you mentioned, YYZ, we had a YEG for Edmonton. We even had a YQL for Lethbridge. And that kind of ultimately failed. We realized we were just sort of stretched too thin early on to try and accomplish that. And we were trying to be local to everything, which was difficult to scale. But, when I think back to all the changes we've made, shortly after that, we transitioned to being Canadian made. The more we learned about our supply chain and how garments are manufactured, and they were still from reliable sources that obviously were vetted and had certifications, but we just felt like we could really, push being local more. And we felt that was in the best interest of community. And now we're kind of going down this path towards more sustainability and really focusing on kind of the total and overall impact of our garments. I've become obsessed with this concept of a carbon neutral shirt or a climate positive shirt, which is not unrealistic, right? We're probably only a couple months away from being able to accomplish that. But the way that I think we've distilled it now is we want people to feel good about the clothes that they wear. And everything you're wearing has a statement, right? Connar kind of alluded to that earlier. It represents the values that you have, and it becomes something that you can actually showcase. Like, these are my values, right? This is what I represent. And so from the very get-go, that was easy. That was YYC. People were proudly representing where they came from. But where we're kind of going and what the future of Local Laundry is we want people to feel good about the clothes that they wear. And that's not only from a comfort perspective. We make very comfortable casual clothing, but we also make clothing that's conscious, right? Everything's manufactured in Canada. It's ethically manufactured. It's far more responsibly manufactured and moving towards being far more sustainable. Being made in Canada, we are far more sustainable than industry average, but we really want to kind of push what we think are our boundaries, at least for sustainability. And the last piece is charitable. So it's not often that you get clothing that gives back. So for example, our giving garments, for every toque we sell, for every pair of socks we sell, we donate one to a shelter. And then we have a lot of other campaigns with certain garments where a certain dollar amount from the garment will go back to local charities. And we have a goal of raising $1 million by 2030. So this whole notion of allowing people to wear clothes that actually make them feel good. And I think that's sort of at the heart of what we're pushing for. And as a company, if we can do that, it means that we're making an impact, not only on our customers, but on the community around them in terms of the charitable contributions, but also the environment and our local economies as we manufacture here in Canada.
Something else that Local Laundry does, and is such a big piece of what you guys do, is not only just collaborating with different people and causes and businesses, but it's also community. It's bringing people together, like the start of some beers and stuff like that, which I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. Can you speak to the why behind making that such a big piece of Local Laundry?
Well, I'll be honest. A lot of it was for selfish reasons. I just wanted to. I'm obsessed with people. I like meeting new people, and I just wanted to meet as many new people as I could, all different walks of life. I just have a Dustin's, the same. We just have a genuine interest in people, and we're so. Dustin and I kind of took a step back, a year or two ago, and kind of looked at what are we good at. We're not designers. We're not fashionistas. We're not good at accounting. We're not good at finance. We're not good at a lot of things. The things that we're good at is building authentic and genuine relationships, building trust among individuals and organizations. And it's something that we both love doing. And so Local Laundry really is just been a vehicle to kind of give back and connect with all these people and find ways to help each other grow, because we're all trying to get to the same place. We're all trying to get to exactly where we need to be. And so why not just help each other kind of get there? And, what started as local startup and beers, we get small business owners together and network and communicate and connect with each other. during the pandemic has evolved into a business book club, which I'm very proud of. So now there's about 90 of us. We all kind of pick a business book to all read during that month. Dustin has to pick July's book, and we meet once a month and we discuss this business book and the ideas that this book presents and that kind of thing. And so for us, it's about creating garments that can really bring people together, represent where they come from, share their story, give back, but also just a way for people to connect together. I think we live in a very divisive world, where it's us versus them and you versus me. And I think we all need a little bit more of, hey, we all want the same things. We all want happiness, food, water, shelter, a happy family. So why can't we all just help each other get there? And that's really where the roots of building community kind of stem from.
Now, I want to get into a little bit more of why did you make the decision to move from garments that were being manufactured overseas in China, Indonesia, Bangladesh, like that's typically where most garments are made, and transitioning that to Canadian-made clothing. It's an interesting, idea, and I think it's really, really unique to what you're doing. But I'm just curious, like, how did you make that decision, especially kind of starting from more of a drop shipping perspective to then transitioning to manufacturing in Canada? That
was a pretty ongoing conversation for a couple of months, and there's kind of two sides to that. So number one, Connor's talked about community being kind of at the heart of what we do, right? And that has sort of provided us a bit of a North Star, right? And I think for any brand that's trying to do good or is mission driven, they have to have that North Star that really drives them. And for us, for the longest time, that's been, we want to be one of the best companies at building community. And that's evolved and that's changed and will continue to evolve and change, but we would always have something to ask ourselves, right? Is this in the best interest of building community? And so the question around whether our laundry was actually local came up. And as much as the designs were, the garments themselves were not made in Canada. Now, this is during a time where less than 5% of all clothing consumed in Canada was actually made in Canada. So we were of the norm, which is a pretty shocking stat, but less than 5% of clothing consumed in Canada is actually made in Canada. But the brand being local laundry, we felt that perhaps we needed to kind of walk the walk a little bit more. And again, it was part of us learning. We did not come into this with any industry experience, any knowledge of clothing, any knowledge of anything. And the more we learn, the more we kind of realize that, the clothes that are being made for us just doesn't sit right with us, right? It's being made overseas. It's being made by people we don't know. We know that there's these certifications. We know that there's these certain standards, but we have no idea. They just showed up in a box. And so we felt like it was really a responsibility of us to again, walk the walk and truly have our laundry local. The flip side to that and the counter argument, which we always brought up, was we're now having to increase our prices by 20 to 30% across the board because our costs are doing the same, right? We're increasing our costs significantly. And would that eliminate a lot of that said community that we were trying to build, right? An $80 crew neck is a lot more expensive than a $60 crew, a $90 crew neck. We're even looking at raising prices even further as our garments kind of continue to go up in value, not only being Canadian made, being more charitable, but also having more of an impact on the environment as we move towards more sustainability. So I think it's just an evolution of the brand in always going back to entrepreneurship of Mount Royal, thinking bigger, right? Trying to go in the right direction and always looking at how can we be better? How can we do things differently? How can we be better? And I think the Made in Canada transition was just the start of that.
One of my favorite things about what you guys are doing and the origins of local laundry is that philanthropic activity was baked in from the very, very beginning, and is always, whether it be garments or whether it be proceeds from profits going towards charities and people within the community being able to choose which charities benefit from those funds. How integral was having a philanthropic component to local laundry in the early days?
It was baked right from the very get go. Something that was always kind of near and dear to our hearts, and I think Dustin and I both kind of saw the way that brands have to be more about just the bottom line. We're in the process of becoming B Corp certified. We really wanted to showcase that we're more than just about selling as many t-shirts and sweaters as possible and trying to make as much money for ourselves. We really wanted to showcase how we were doing this, for the community, to give back, and as a way to kind of not only donate to all these great causes, like you said, that people kind of help us choose, but also to kind of showcase their story as well. To kind of, there's so many great causes that we've worked with over the years, and they do some incredible work with some amazing people. So we wanted to kind of also showcase those causes and those charities. And so when you make a donation and you kind of, share about it, you get to share the story and all the great work that these amazing people are doing. Right. And sometimes, sharing these organizations' story out actually goes a lot further than the donation piece ever could. So they're very much a stakeholder in our journey as well. And we want to make sure that everything that we do kind of goes back, and we're thinking of them at the forefront, right? So, it was always kind of baked in right from the very get-go. And we saw a lot of other brands kind of tie their business to one specific cause over another. And we kind of like the idea that, there's so many great people in our community that we're building, and there's not one single cause that defines them all, or that they all support, unanimously. So we really wanted to kind of create as much benefit and support and create as much awareness for as many causes and charities as we could, because there's like I said, there's a lot of people doing a lot of great work, and we want to make sure that everyone knows as much as they can about them.
Another thing that I think is really interesting and unique about local laundry in your business is, again, coming back to community, it's doing all of these collaborations. So it's collaborating with different brands and different companies and nonprofits. And a couple that stick out in my head are the Calgary Flames. You did a community T-shirt with the Flaming Sea. You did some work with Kids Cancer Care. You did a toque with them. What is the process like in creating a garment and in a collaborative way with another entity and another group? What does that process look like?
Yeah, it's really all about, it's a couple things, right? And it goes back to what Dustin kind of talks about. It's about making people feel good with their clothing, right? And that's 3-part. Making people feel good from a comfort standpoint, from a conscious standpoint, and a community standpoint, right? So the process is about creating a garment that people actually want to wear. I mean, so many times organizations or causes or whatever, a band, I know you've had some band merch in the past, Bryton, that you just slapped your logo on, but people want to support these ideas, but a lot of the times they put them on a garment that just doesn't work for people. It's made who knows where, nobody looks good in it, and it ends up in people's pajama pile, where they sleep in it, or maybe they garden it and painted it. And our kind of thing is stop making pajamas for people. Instead use the garments, use the clothing as an opportunity to engage with your target audience, engage with your customers, your fans, your donors, and use it as an opportunity to tell a story, right? So many times organizations, they think, okay, we got to brand awareness. We got to get some of that brand awareness I've heard of. Okay, let's put our logo on some shirts. Let's give them out to loads of people. And that doesn't work because no one wants to wear the shirt. So you look at the cost per use, the cost per people wearing those shirts. They wear them once or maybe twice, and then the cost goes through the roof. But if you create a garment that makes people look good, that makes people feel good, that also kind of gives back. You then start to look at that cost per use, and these people that's going to be high quality. These people are going to have them for a long time. They're going to wear them proudly. They're not going to wear them because they feel like they have to wear them. They're going to wear them out and about at the bars, backyard barbecues, on vacation, because it makes them feel good on 3 different levels. And then someone will come up and say, that's a cool design. What does that design mean? What's that all about? Oh, let me tell you, this is my favorite cause, or this is my company that I work for. So it's really about telling a story rather than printing a logo, and using the garments as a way to engage that target demographic. So the process, to answer your question, is very much we come up with an idea of what the story of the garment is to be, and then we come up with a design that shares both of our values, and communicates that story. And sometimes it's with our internal, design team. Sometimes we go out and find artists from the community. Right now we're working with a juice company out of Halifax, Vivo, and we're hiring an Indigenous female artist to kind of showcase the story of our two brands. And we're gonna use that shirt, and a portion of the profits are going to go to an Indigenous charity out in Nova Scotia. So the process is you come up with a great design, you put it on a garment that people actually want to wear, that gives back, that's conscious and environmentally friendly, and that garment will have a lifespan of tenfold of all the other garments that you kind of, people just kind of get as cheap as possible and put their logo on there for. So, yeah, that's what we're all about. Stop making pajamas for people.
So we're going to get into rapid fire here in a little bit, which is a lot of fun. But before we start to get into that, I want to ask you, as somebody from the outside looking in, seeing the amazing work that you're doing, and you're getting to the point where you are able to start to grow a team, and you're getting to that point where the business has grown enough that you can start to hire people on, and I'm curious what the process is like for you guys, and if there's any advice or pieces of wisdom that you would share with a solopreneur or partnership that is starting to grow and get to that point where they're able to onboard a team. What type of advice would you give to someone like that, and what does that experience start to look like for you guys?
Great question. And I can tell you from my time at ATB, working with hundreds of different business owners, this is always one of the hardest pieces. And I think a lot of that stems from, typically when you start a business, in a lot of cases, as a solo entrepreneur, you're starting from an area that you're good at, or you have experience in, or you have a passion at. And so you are the work, right? You are the business. And when you start to get busy and start to scale, it gets more and more difficult because you're still the one that's the work. You're still the one that's doing the work. I think what's unique about our situation is we were never the ones that should have been designing clothes in the first place. So Connar and I were always forced to find experts to do what we didn't know how to, which was the entire part of our business, right? Is designing clothes, producing clothes, manufacturing clothes. We never did any of it. And so that always forced us to outsource and find people who are experts to work in those areas. And I think accidentally we ended up doing it the right way. That would allow us to be set up for the ability to scale and the ability to grow. Because again, having spoken with so many different entrepreneurs, that's often the biggest part is you own everything, you do everything. And so it's really important. That's something that we've noticed and we've been trying to be intentional about lately, is building out more process and structure. We're in that growth mode right now. We've doubled our team size in the past year, from 1 to 4.5. So it's not much, but we're growing. And so we've had to, basically start to build some of that scaffolding, right? That helps put some of that structure in place. And so that means putting people in the right place that can actually do that work. So hiring the right experts, whether that's bookkeeping, accounting, numbers are often the part that a lot of business owners struggle with. Take that off your plate, right? Own it enough that you know how to do it, but then hire an expert that's going to take over and be able to actually handle that for you. And in a lot of cases, the first step is a bookkeeper, but that can be an accountant or some sort of financial expert that works within the business to kind of help take and help you grow that side of the business. And then it's the same for the other areas, right? You have to figure out what the right process is, what the right procedure is, and then build those out and then hire someone in that's going to help take over those. One thing that we've implemented in the company is every week, everyone on the team has to come up with a new process. And on our weekly meeting, we all get together and we share what our process is. And part of that is we know that the team is going to continue expanding. It's going to continue building. And so we want to make sure that we're tracking all this, right? And so when someone comes in, they'll actually have a bit more of a playbook to be able to know exactly how to do everything. And so that's really helping get everything that's just up in our heads that we know what we're doing, we know how to do, but it's not written down, right? It's not communicated. Someone coming in off the street wouldn't be able to do it. And so you have to build those pieces out.
And man, it works. So just today, just like right before we hopped on this, I asked Aaron, who's now full time with us, to do something. Send a design deposit, and I didn't have enough time to kind of show her myself, so I just sent her the process, and she did it. And guess this, get this, the person's already paid. So it's like, and she's like, I followed the process. It was so well detailed, and I was like, you just made me so happy, because it's the system is working. We spent all this time building out these processes, and everyone put so much time, but it works. And here, and Erin's living proof. She joined the team, didn't know how to do something. She followed the process, and now it works. And that was such a big win for me today. I'm riding high.
That's so awesome. Well, I mean, we just ended up being fortunate enough to hire two summer students, and being able to put the process together for those two students is going to be something that is going to be a massive game changer for us, because then we're able to hand off some of those tasks, and it also gives that person some more ownership around the job that they're doing. So definitely the process makes such a big difference for sure. Awesome. So you guys ready for rapid fire?
Yes, sir.
Well, the first one is, what is one book that you feel everyone should read?
Scaling Up.
Okay. How about you, Connar?
Okay. Interesting choice. I thought he was going to say something else. I thought he was going to say Shoe Dog.
I thought you were just going to say 4 Hour Workweek.
No. Yeah, there's a couple, obviously. 4 Hour Workweek is the one that got us started. Shoe Dog is the one that's really kind of inspired us. Scaling Up is the one that's really kind of helping us grow. And then E-Myth by Michael Gerber is the one that really kind of laid the foundations for how we want to run the business. So I know that's not what you were looking for, because that's 4 books. But those 4 books have really kind of shaped our business.
I'm going to make it 5, because Profit First was what helped us establish a bit of a financial
Profit
system.
First is amazing. I love Michael McAllowitz.
Yeah.
He's got a ton
he's
of great
awesome.
books.
So, I mean, we went through that as well, and Profit First has been a big game changer for us too, for sure.
Do you use Profit First?
I most certainly do.
Good for you.
I do, absolutely. The biggest thing I think was being able to take owner's compensation. That's why you run a business. That's why you start a business. So that's definitely been a big thing. So yeah. So now moving on.
It's amazing. It's helped us, and I think for any business to really better understand or I guess establish a better cash flow system.
Absolutely.
The one I think challenge is we're in the product side of business, right? So we have inventory. We have a very different cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Our cash flow is very much like this, right? It's a cycle. Versus just a service-based business that's a little bit more consistent. But at the same time, it really helped us to focus on and set up a system and, chunk different parts of our funding away for certain things, so we can start to build up a bit of a cash reserve so that we can know, in forecasting, yes, we have the cash to hire on this person, or yes, we have the cash to be able to say yes to this. I'd say it's less of a taking a profit first right now and more of just to accumulate some dollars for some future budgeting.
Oh, absolutely. That's it's a great book, great advice, and would highly recommend it for anybody that hasn't read it yet, or is starting a business and looking to actually grow something that and make some money off of their business and actually figure out how to pay themselves. It's a great book. Okay, so next one is, what is your favorite song?
Right now, I'm really into Sunday Best.
Okay, by who?
Oh God, I can't remember the name. But it's a really great song to kick off the morning. Let me get the Surfaces.
Surfaces. Okay, there you go. How about you, Connar?
You know what my favorite one is, Bryton? One that gets me fired up every single time.
I bet you it's going to be a Lee McDonough song.
Waitin' Coney Girl.
Oh boy, there you go. How did I know?
Honestly, I was talking about that song this morning on our daily call. It never fails to get me jacked up. It's a great road trip song. It's a great getting ready song. When you're out for a run, you just need to crush that last kilometer. So it's a great song.
That's good. I'm glad that's a tune that you like. I'd have to say the fact that you use that running, I think is hilarious. Because I have a lot of feminine songs in my in my running playlist, which I don't run very often. But the song that I remember running a half marathon, it was I Wear My Pain Like Stilettos by Kelsey Ballerini, and I realized how unmotivational my playlist was. So I appreciate that you are a fellow runner to feminine lyrics. That's awesome.
I love it. They speak to me. What can I say?
There you go. Okay, next one is salty snack or sweets.
Like one or the other, or what's our favorite?
Well, which one is your favorite, and then what is your favorite snack or sweet?
So that's one thing I've learned about Dustin. You keep Dustin fed, you keep him happy. Every time we got meetings, you got to have snacks. For me, I'm a sweet. I'm an absolute glutton with a sweet tooth.
There you go. What was your favorite?
I love sweets.
What's your favorite sweet?
Yeah.
I mean, depends on the hour. I love any kind of pie.
Ooh, pie.
Just bring me any kind of pie. I love pie.
Pie is delicious. How about you there, Dustin?
I'm on the opposite. Less sweets, more salty. Whether that's a granola bar or something, I try and eat as clean as I can because I don't get to work out as often anymore with the two kids and just the crazy lifestyle we have right now. Try and eat a little bit on the cleaner side. So since I'm not out playing sports anymore like I used to be pre-COVID, it doesn't get to the waistline as much.
There you go. Well, I have to say granola bar has to be the most exhilarating answer we've got this far on that question.
What can I say?
So the next question is lazy beach vacation or crazy travel adventure?
I think we're two very opposites on this as well. I'm crazy travel adventure. Lovely some adventure. Yeah.
I've done enough crazy travels now. Let's get the kids to the pool.
I'll go. I love to go meet up with Dustin after the crazy adventure, just chill on the beach afterwards. But I think that will change once we have kids too. I think.
There you go. How about dream car?
Yes. I keep telling my wife, like, next car I buy, or maybe the next car after next car, I'm gonna buy a Tesla. I'm gonna buy a Tesla Series X.
Nice.
And that's all I want.
If I had I was trying to think about this too. Like if we, at one time in my life, I was able to buy a sports car. I was trying to figure out last night, it's not a Mercedes. I don't think it's a Ferrari, maybe a McLaren, but I'm a big fan of Aston Martins.
Good choice. There you go.
Aston Martin
Okay.
DBS, quick little car.
That's because you're a big Lance Stroll fan.
Yeah.
Now, what is your favorite local small business in your hometown? Obviously, you both are kind of from Calgary, so you have a favorite local small business?
I'll go. We've got my vitamin R, we call it, but Revita Energy Tea. So because you've got a podcast, I'll share this with you. They're an unofficial sponsor of our podcast. But I always find, after lunch, 2:00, you kind of hit that sort of crash. Energy's down. You're not overly motivated to do anything. Have a little bit of vitamin R, Revita Energy Tea, and you're good to go. You're going to crush out a very, very good afternoon work session. Very productive.
Yeah, it's a toss up, really. I mean, one of my favorite local ones is Partake. They are a non-alcoholic craft brewery, and I don't drink, so having a really nice non-alcoholic craft beer that tastes amazing has just been an absolute treat.
How about one quote that you live by for each of you? Connar?
I have a few. Yeah, the one I like. I'll give you two. One I learned a long time ago. I minored in philosophy, and everyone joins philosophy to figure out the meaning of happiness and how to be happy. And happiness is very simple. Happiness is when your desires don't conflict with each other. So when all your desires are in flow, none of them are conflicting, That's where you find true happiness, right? And I think I think I embody that living proof. I really wanted to own my own business and be my own boss, and I wasn't too worried about making millions and millions of dollars, and so all my desires from that kind of thing just kind of flow together. They don't conflict with each other. So I'm the happiest man you'll ever meet in the world because I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And then sometimes when I have to have a tough conversation or a tough decision to make, one of my favorite quotes as well is, your success in life will be determined by how many uncomfortable conversations you're willing to have. And I think about that anytime I have to have an uncomfortable conversation, and I'm not afraid because I'm a people pleaser deep down. So, but now I often think of that every time I got to go through something difficult, and then it makes it all okay.
Connar,
Dustin,
that's
what's yours?
So I've got two. The first one is probably a quote from everyone, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's
Michael Scott.
Michael Scott, yeah. Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky. But again, looking back, so many people, as you get later in life, right, they regret the things that they didn't do, not the things that they did. And that's tough, right? Because living in the now, you have things that you actually have to be worried about for the near future, right? Like bills, children, health, everything else. So that it's easier to look back and say, oh, I wish I did that. There's a lot more decisions to make in the now, but I think especially now that we've seen with COVID and this whole past year, we've seen we're starting to see a lot more people take the leap in entrepreneurship. People just want to be happy, right? They're tired of being unhappy in a job that just doesn't serve them. And so I think for me, having jumped full-time into this company, that's always been my dream. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I would encourage anyone who's thinking about starting a business or thinking about doing anything, whether it's a passion project, just do it. See where it takes you, right? It might not take you where you think, but it might take you to something else. There's something I believe in called the Tarzan method, right? You've kind of got this goal in life. This is where you want to get to. And there's no straight line, right? You jump, you take this vine, this rope, and it's going to take you somewhere else where you didn't expect to be. But then you're going to get on another one, and it's going to take you here and here and here. And finally, you'll get to that end goal. But it's not that straight linear path. So take the chance, take the shot. The second one, which I've really liked lately, was a email signature from a friend of mine, which is me no happy because cookie finished, me happy because cookie happened, which is Cookie Monster. But, I've got 2 young kids now, and it's really easy to look back and think like, I'm sad because they're growing up. And they're never going to be that young again, right? My eldest toddler, she's almost 4, she'll be 4 in October. She's full of attitude. She pisses you off some days because she's just so defiant. And that will serve us well later in life. But she's past the stage of being this cuddly baby, right? And I miss that. So it's easy to be sad and be like, oh, this is over. We're not going to get this back. But at the same time, reflecting and being very grateful for what we've had, what we've accomplished. Same thing with business, right? It's really important to take those small wins, to look back, to reflect on all the good that's happened. So that's my fun second quote.
Someone chopping onions in here. It was beautiful.
Now we're getting to the last couple here. So who was someone that you would like to thank for helping you get to where you are today, and why?
Well, I'll go right out and say Dustin. I mean, I think without Dustin, this never would have taken off as much as it did. So I thank Dustin almost on an everyday basis because without him, Local Laundry would not be where it is today. Same with my parents. My parents were biggest source of inspiration, biggest wisdom and advice givers. But none of this we never would have got this far without Dustin. So thanks, man.
I have to reciprocate.
No.
Oh no. Kim, I'll do 2 then. No, it's always funny. Again, I always go back to my time at ATV because I got to meet so many different entrepreneurs, and it gave me perspective, right? Because you see so many different perspectives, and again, you see so many of these founders and entrepreneurs split up because things didn't work out. They disagreed, and also on the same side of that, you see these co-founders that search for a long time to try and find a partner, and we just met by accident, right? We got introduced by a mutual friend to go for coffee, and I didn't realize until meeting all these people how fortunate that we were to have randomly met, because we do share a lot of the same values, a lot of the same vision, and have a lot of the same goals for what we want, while at the same time we're both very different and complement each other very well. So I think if you have a good business partner, cherish that, because it's very very rewarding, very helpful. It's kind of like having a partner in life, right? I encourage everyone to have a business partner. It's just more fun to go together, right? It's kind of like living alone. You get married because you want to share your life with someone, and you can celebrate the exciting parts, the wins, but also share in the losses. It's the same way with a business, right? We get to share in that together, and that makes it far more rewarding. The second person that I will mention is Ray DePaul from Mount University. Working with him both as a student, but also as an employee of his. He was a huge mentor of mine. Had a tremendous impact on me, on my entrepreneurial journey. And it's funny because even today, I've been graduated for 5 years. I haven't worked for Ray in over 5 years. Don't get to be in touch with him very much unless I'm still interacting with the university. But I'll always still ask myself, what would Ray do? Right? I always go back. He's full of wisdom, very smart man. And I'll still ask myself to this day, what would Ray do? Or what would Ray do in this circumstance? So if someone 5 years out or however many years out is still having an impact on your decisions, safe to say that person had a pretty tremendous impact on you.
And finally, is there a piece of advice that you could share with your younger self? What would it be?
Man, we're not that old. Everyone keeps talking about, as soon as they hit 25, everyone goes, oh, I'm so old. We are not that old. We're going to be looking back 10 years from now and think, man, I remember when we were 30, 29 or 31 or however old Bryton is, but we are not that old. I think we have a youth obsessed culture, and maybe that's my piece of advice is stop looking back at the good old days, because you might stop realizing that you're actually in the good old days. That's what I always think. I'm just so happy living for today and doing exactly what I'm doing, that I don't wish I was 20 again. I don't want to go back to 25. And I wouldn't change anything, because I'm worried about the butterfly effect. I go back and change one thing, whisper some words of advice, and maybe I don't end up here. Maybe I'm somewhere far from here. So just enjoy it. And kind of going back to the quote question. Someone on the book club mentioned this in our last meeting: is living in the past is depression. Living in the future is anxiety. It's just live in the now, right? So that if I were to give any advice, just enjoy the moment, enjoy the now, and enjoy the good old days, because we're living them.
That's a great one. That is so good.
Very profound. The advice I always give to younger people is start now.
Awesome.
Things only get more difficult as you grow up, right? The things that I have to worry about now at my age are my children, my wife, our mortgage. There's payments. There's certain financial obligations that you have. And so when you're young, you're in your 20s, you're first starting a company, maybe even you're still living with your parents, you have a very big safety net. You have a lot of options, and you have the ability to take risks. And as you get older, your ability to take big risks gets reduced, right? You have to be a lot more calculated. You have to be a lot more cautious. You can't really bet the house all the time. And so that's my advice always to younger people is take the bigger risks while you can.
Well, I want to thank you both so much, Connar, Dustin. Thanks so much for joining me. If anybody would like to, potentially reach out about a collaboration with Local Laundry, buy a T-shirt, buy a crew neck sweater, where can they get more information?
LocalLaundry.ca. Fire us a message at info@locallaundry.ca as well. DM us at Local Laundry. Check out our podcast, Proudly Made in Canada by Local Laundry. Or just, our numbers on the website. Look us up, give us a call, let's have a chat, and go from there. And just thank everyone for wanting to support us.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll definitely have you back on the podcast at some point. But thank you so much for joining me, and best of luck with Local Laundry. Thanks, guys.
Likewise. Thanks for having us, Bryton.